My mother has a chronic disease called cervical dystonia, which causes constant spasms in her neck. Advocates of embryonic stem cell research say that a cure could be found for people like her and others suffering from diseases such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, or heart disease. You all probably have friends or family members that have suffered from these things. The cost of such research is the destruction of human embryos. Now, my mom says she would prefer struggling with this disease than be given a cure at the cost of human life. But advocates of embryonic stem cell research say that it's just a cluster of cells. Although a cluster of cells, embryonic stem cell research is destroying something that is human. It's the union of sperm and egg. It has all the DNA necessary to one day walk and talk. And so although it is just a cluster of cells, the question is, would harvesting and destroying human embryos for research would it be akin to murder? I have pondered questions like these as I grew up in this biotech age. I even campaigned against embryonic stem cell research in 2006. And I have come to the conclusion that there's three pretty strong objections to embryonic stem cell research. And it goes in order. It gets stronger and stronger as you go along. The first is there's medical findings against it. And the second is that there's moral standards that are violated with embryonic stem cell research. And then also the most strong argument is the maker's sovereignty over life. So first, embryonic stem cell research violates medical findings. Despite the media hype about possible cures, embryonic stem cell research will not find the fountain of youth. Although the possibility of growing new tissue is appealing, we must not overlook the dangerous side effects from implanting foreign human cells in the body, such as genetic disorders and tumors, according to research Alan Marzulli noted in his 2007 book, Stem Cell Research and Cloning. A promising alternative is adult stem cell research, which does not destroy human lives. Research has been progressing for decades on these stem cells that are found in places like the bone marrow. At the 2009 National Right to Life Convention, David Prentice, who serves on the Family Research Council, shared how adult stem cells are already helping patients with diseases like Parkinson's and leukemia use their own cells for a perfect match. Prentice said, if you give a stem cell the right signal, it should specialize or differentiate into any of the various tissues of the body. However, embryonic stem cells are so unspecified that in all animal tests so far, uncontrollable tumors have formed. The protest is that with research, embryonic stem cells could be more adaptable and available than adult stem cells. So while compelling, the medical objection has not stemmed the call for embryonic stem cell research. So I move to the deeper moral objection. Second, embryonic stem cell research violates moral standards. The moral stance rests on the fact that each human being began as an embryo. This fact is undisputed by science, as Scott Lusendorf points out in his 2009 book, The Case for Life. We cannot pinpoint a time in the development of a human when he becomes a full-fledged person. Therefore, we must consider all stages of human life, even at conception, to be worthy of respect. As Kansas Senator Sam Brownback said in 2002, a human embryo is a human being, just like you and me, and it deserves the same respect that our laws give to us all. On the other side, Harvard professor Michael Sandel, in his 2007 book, The Case Against Perfection, detects flaws in the moral argument. He agrees that the cluster of cells that make up a human embryo is undeniably alive, it's undeniably human, yet he does not believe that a cluster of cells should be given the same rights as a baby or a teenager. Sandel relates this hypothetical situation. If a fertility clinic were to catch fire and you had the choice to either save a tray of embryos or a 5-year-old girl, which would you choose? With arguments like these, Sandel believes he can rationalize away the moral objection. Therefore, the sanctity of life must be backed by more than the medical or moral objections. It must be backed by faith in the maker. Third, embryonic stem cell research violates the maker's sovereignty over life. The Bible teaches that God is the maker of the universe and everything in it. Human life, whether infants, adults, or embryos, they are distinct from plant and animal life and embryos because God created them in his image, according to Genesis 1:25-27. God gave man an intellect to reason, a heart with feelings, and a spirit that never dies. Sanctity of life comes from the Maker. Hence, messing with human life is rebelling against the sovereignty of the Creator and Giver of life. Life is precious because it is given by God, no matter how elderly or young, no matter how disabled or ill. If human life is devalued at its earliest beginning of conception, then why should life be valued near the end, like the life of my great-grandmother? Or why should it be valued when the person can't contribute anything to society, like the life of my grandma with Alzheimer's? Or valued for those who are suffering, like my mother? Hence, embryonic stem cell research ironically leads to the devaluing of the lives of those with medical conditions that embryonic stem cell research is supposed to help. So as we've seen, embryonic stem cell research violates medical findings, moral standards, and especially the Maker's sovereignty over life. We as American citizens and citizens of the Maker should uphold the sanctity of life by opposing embryonic stem cell research, no matter what cures it may eventually lead to. The end does not justify the means. Embryonic stem cell research violates the sanctity of life by destroying human lives created in the image of God.